just
And action as we let Chris enter the fire. We got a hot shot of red, blue, and white stripes for Memorial Day. A good shot of Chris displaying those beautifully. So
Very patriotic today.
hey. All right, and let's welcome everybody to our annual Memorial Day weekend shout out and Multisport Monthly here at Cafe Oliva here on beautiful Ohio Street Beach and downtown Chicago, Illinois. I'm Coach Brian. With me as always is Coach Joy and Coach Chris. Coach Joy, Coach Chris,
Yeah.
How are we today?
doing good
Warming back up a little bit.
Why are we warming back up?
because we went into Lake Michigan this morning.
Yeah, we did our annual ice bath dip tradition, which is where we, regardless of what the weather is like, we come out on Memorial Day, 11 a.m. That's when the lifeguards are on duty, and we dip in. Some people just dip in, plunge fully under the water, and they call it a day after that, and others go for a swim, and it wasn't too bad today.
A short swim.
Yeah, I felt like it was, a little bit colder than last year for sure, but not too terrible. I swam out to the quarter-mile buoy and back, but I did have neoprene booties and neoprene gloves, and that definitely made a big difference. So for me, it felt pretty toasty. I wasn't going numb or anything. And we had a few athletes. We're actually over here with us. They are training for Alcatraz this upcoming weekend. So this is their Alcatraz simulation swim.
See, so you say it wasn't so bad, but as you're saying, we have a lot of our athletes that are out here, hopefully some that we're going to be able to bring into our frame to talk a little bit more about said open water swim. And all I see here is everybody in their best thermal outfits, trying their best to stay warm and get warm from that cold swim this morning. Chris, you usually have a temperature gauge that lets us know how warm or cold the water is out there on Ohio Street Beach. What was the temperature there today?
So unfortunately, I did actually bring my thermometer. As I'm walking over, I realized there was one thing I forgot, and it was that.
You just didn't want anybody to know exactly what the temperature was.
I did measure it 2 weeks ago, and it's about the same, I would say. It might be a couple degrees, like 1 to 2 degrees warmer. So when I measured it just about 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago, it was between about 56 to 58 on average. Okay. And today it felt like 58 to 60 degrees.
Well, for the app that I use to suggest whether or not I should go out into open water, so it is the Surfline app, and the only one that I can see that's close to Ohio Street Beach, I believe it's the Montrose Beach measurements, and it was saying closer to 50 and 48 degrees. So I don't know how accurate yours is. Well, but visually, what I'm seeing, you guys are looking like coming out of that water today. Like, I'm going to say it was closer to 50.
I will say it felt to me about 56, 57.
Okay.
So it was cold. I mean, my feet were warm because I had booties on. I did get the ice cream, brain freeze, migraine, even with 2 swim caps on. So I didn't have a neoprene thermal cap, but I had on a silicone cap and then my brightly colored swim cap on top of this. But my head was like, nope, we're done. All 278 yards of swimming in cold water.
I think
That's a quality 278 yards.
It was.
what made it feel really cold was actually the air temperature. Yes, the air temperature is about the same as the water temperature right now. And the wind, though, is blowing from the northeast.
Yeah, it was pretty choppy out there.
Which is what really makes it feel colder. But
Yeah.
usually, if people aren't familiar with different beaches in Chicago, up on the north side, like Foster, Montrose, that beach is not protected. There's no break wall, really. And so the water from the north comes right down in there. And it'll be 5, sometimes 10 degrees colder up there. Here at Ohio Street Beach, one of the many reasons why it is one of the more popular places for triathletes to swim is because of the playpen area. It's got a break wall where boats come to basically drop anchor and hang out all day. Is a shallower area, and the water that pools in there stays there. It doesn't funnel out as easily. And because it's shallow, with the sun shining on it, it'll warm up about 5 degrees from morning to midday. So it actually warms up quite a bit throughout the day. And it's actually a lot shallower. So last year, at the end of summer, at the quarter-mile buoy, so a quarter mile out, I was able to stand on my tippy toes and just barely get my chin above the water. Today, when I went out there, the water level was at about my shoulders.
Still at the quarter mile.
When I'm on my tippy toes at the quarter mile buoy. So I'm estimating it is around or up to maybe 6 inches shallower this year than last year. And it's always a little different. The sand and how it piles up underneath can kind of cause a lot of variation. And further away you go from the wall, it gets deeper. For generally speaking, the water level is lower, and that means it can warm up a lot quicker too, because around this area it's just shallower. So when we get a nice couple of sunny days, it's going to warm up pretty quick. So I think it'll be pretty comparable to last year. Last year was pretty warm from the beginning of the season all the way through the end, and I think it'll be pretty comparable. So the swim clinic tomorrow. It's kind of hit or miss. We might have to cancel it because of how cold the wind is from the northeast, but the water temperature is actually feeling really, really good. So as long as the wind is from the south or the west, I think this is going to be a beautiful, even later this week, a great time to come out for swim.
Yeah, later this week is looking pretty nice, almost idyllic, where it's going to be looking like it's going to be in the low to mid 80s going into the weekend. Beautiful sunny weather. Still colder in the mornings, but the more it can warm up, more of that good quality temperatures we can get to heat up this massive body of water here, the better. So, all right. So now let's go ahead and jump in. Let's get into some reflection on things that have happened the last couple weeks. We've had a couple of races, Coach Joy, that have happened since last weekend. Any key updates on races both here as well as nationally that you'd like to update us on?
So 2 weeks ago, while we had the Chicago Spring Half Marathon, I was in Brooklyn for the RBC Brooklyn Half Marathon. The beauty about it is you finish at Coney Island. It has loop-de-loop around the Brooklyn Museum, finish on Coney Island. I thought it was a great race. Although it was hot and humid, it was a vibe. So if you're able to get into the race next year, either via lottery, or if you're in the 9+1 program for the New York City Marathon program, or charity, definitely do this race. And Chris, were you bike marshal for the Chicago Spring Half?
Yeah, we had a couple of races in the last couple of weeks. The Chicago Spring Half and then Soldier Field, 10 miles this past weekend. So I was a bunch of our triathletes were the volunteer lead bikers at the Chicago Spring Half. We do that every year. And Soldier Field, I ran it this year. I bike marshaled it a prior year. And it was perfect weather for us.
I think that's the perfect weather for the first time in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Actually had decent weather.
But I was going to ask, so you've done the New York City Half and the Brooklyn Half. Which one do you like better? Are they comparable, or do you like them both?
You know what? In comparison, they do start in the Prospect Park area. However, the difference between the New York City Half and the Brooklyn Half, let me be clear, the RBC Brooklyn Half Marathon finishes in Coney Island. The New York City Half starts in Prospect Park and finishes in Central Park, and they shut down Times Square for this race. But in terms of which one I like better, shockingly, I love the RBC Brooklyn Half. It was just a chill. It was a vibe. And if you've ever been to Brooklyn, you know what I'm talking about. The New York City Half, you do get to go over the Manhattan Bridge. You get to go through Chinatown, down to FDR, check out the East River. You look at it, but you don't go into it. And then you have Times Square shut down going into Central Park. So that is a cool, unique vibe of that race. So, but the Brooklyn Half, I think I'm sold on it.
So we got a lot of races and a lot of races coming up now. Now that we're, Memorial Day weekend is always the kind of unofficial start of summer in Chicago, and also the triathlon season. And we have Leon's Tri coming up this weekend. We actually had Leon at Soldier Field with us. We had a tent for the Chicago Tri, and those who stopped by got a nice 10% discount if they hadn't signed up yet for the Chicago Tri. And we announced the Chicagoland Tri.
Oh, hang on. I think I've got a prop. Oh, yeah. You guys chat. Hang on.
New item.
Yeah, hang on 1 second.
Pull that out. Yeah. But the Chicagoland Tri Series is about doing 3 races across 3 states in the Midwest: Indiana, Wisconsin, and Illinois. And if you do all 3 events, Leon has some fun T-shirts made up, but you actually get a finisher hat, a Chicagoland Tri-Series themed finisher hat. Visible on our video here. Yeah.
But
I hope this is visible on our video here. I hope
eyes.
So, I mean, this was a little bit big for me, but it went down for the prop today. So, beautiful Chicagoland Tri-Series T-shirt. So, and a hat that I believe are on their way, ready.
Yeah, I was hoping to have the hats to debut today, but because of tariffs and customs, they got held up in Tennessee for a couple of days. So they're supposed to arrive tomorrow. We'll see if I get them in time for the open water swim clinic, but we'll have them at Leon's Tri. So if you're not signed up yet for Leon's Tri, we actually have a special 10% off discount code for triathlon clubs and communities. And if people watch this video, they're part of our Tri 312 community. So we'll post the code, but it's 25 and then capital T, lowercase r-I, Tri, club, capital C, lowercase l-u-b. So 25 T-R-I-C-L-U-B with a T and the C capitalized. That'll get you 10% off at Leon's Tri.
We're sure I'll be able to add that to the bottom of our channel here.
Add that here somewhere on the video.
So check below.
And the other cool thing at Leon's Tri, so Wolf Lake, where they have the race, is a shallower or smaller lake and a shallower lake. So the water temperature is a lot warmer, usually always 5 to 10 degrees warmer in Lake Michigan here. And we're going to host a swim clinic at the packet pickup the day before. So Saturday, May 31st at 1 o'clock, we'll do some swimming tips on dry land. So if you're not ready to swim, you can just listen to the tips. And then those that want to go in and swim, they'll have the course open until 2 o'clock. You can come and swim on course at Leon's Tri. Whether you're racing or not, you can just come down and do the swim if you want. And then the race is on Sunday, June 1st. And that's the first race in the series. It's the Military and First Responders National Championship for USA Triathlon. And it's right across the border in Indiana. So it's actually the closest race to downtown Chicago outside of the Chicago Tri. It's actually almost as close as the Kids Triathlon and Super Sprint on Saturday around Chicago Tri. That's roughly 10K to go to the north end of the lakefront path. And Leon's Tri is just off the south end of the lakefront path. So a very local race. And then the series will continue June 22nd at the Pleasant Prairie Triathlon and then finish at the Chicago Tri at the end of August. So if you do all 3 races, any distance, it can be a duathlon, it can be a relay, super sprint, doesn't matter. As long as you do each race and you have a USA team membership, that's the other thing you need to do. We'll have your names at the finish line. You'll be able to get a special finisher hat for completing the Tri-State Series of the best races in the Midwest. All right.
Great pitch, Chris. That's awesome. And obviously, great merch. So we have the T-shirts, we'll have hats, and it'll only get better from here, looking into future years, future races, future series, which if you didn't make it out for this year, that's okay. You know, I know for some of us that might have been interested, but maybe doing Rockford 70.3, the inaugural 70.3 in Illinois in Rockford. We unfortunately will be missing the Pleasant Prairie Tri, but it is certainly something to look forward to for the coming years, and another great way to challenge yourself and be involved with what we're hoping to be as a growing communal race series for all of our Chicagoland, our greater Chicagoland tri clubs and athletes and things like that. So yeah, Joy, anything you're looking forward to over the next coming weeks and months?
Well, number one, more open water swimming. If the weather could cooperate, dear Mother Nature, please jack up the temperature, please. But more open water swimming, because we only have such a finite time here in the Midwest for open water swimming. So anytime we can do open water swimming, I'm ready to go. So
Past 100 days of summer.
yes,
June, July, August.
and then just outdoor. I mean, I've been doing outdoor runs the whole entire season, but just getting some outdoor swimming in, and I did get some outdoor divvy biking in.
All right, because you guys are competing against each other in the Divvy division at Chicago. Am I correct?
It'll be my first time ever doing the divvy, and
Right. It sounds like it requires its own specific training because you may not be sure of like which divvy you get. Is that correct?
true, but I typically ride when I ride through the city on a divvy bike. I get the manual one, and sometimes the brakes might not be working.
Oh.
Sometimes the gears might not be working, but it's a good workout. It's a good way to get through the city. Remember to always wear your helmet. But yeah, I'm actually looking forward to finally doing some part of the Chicago Drive. But that Sunday, Chicago Drive Sunday, I will be at my usual post, walking the break wall in a red and black choo-choo, motivating you loudly on the sniff.
And we may be also probably recruiting her amongst that outfit to interview athletes as they're jumping into the water or coming out. So we'll figure out how that's going to work. But we're gonna get her involved into the Chicago Tri on the Tri 312 network as much as we can for that weekend. But I will be also doling out odd bets for who wins between Joy and Chris for the Divvy division for that Saturday. So stay tuned for that and look forward to that mini competition coming up soon. So moving on to our 70.3, our long course races coming up. And the obvious big one is Rockford 70.3 coming up in about 3 weeks. So first off, how's everybody feeling about it? Any updates, Chris, from your vantage point? Any recon rides, runs, swims that we need to be aware of to let everybody know to get that last final push in for Rockford?
Yeah, I mean, I probably should start training if it's coming up here in a couple of weeks.
I mean, if you did at least 200 yards like Joy did out there, I mean, you should be fine, right? Yeah.
So as Coach said, not as Coach does.
Well, hopefully everyone has been following their training plans. Usually 2 weeks before and 4 weeks before we do a race rehearsal, which is where we try to do the volume of the event as like a dry run. Dialing in our race intensities, our pacing plan, our fueling plan. So I know most of my athletes have been getting pretty dialed in and are looking forward to it. I'm just excited because it's going to be a huge party. I mean, almost every triathlete I know in Chicago is going to be there, either racing, volunteering, or spectating. We're going to get the typical Ironman audience from Wisconsin, Madison, because Rockford is kind of right in between Madison and Chicago. So it's kind of perfectly located geographically. And yeah, it's going to be a fun event. But yeah, the next couple of weeks, it's time to, if you're not already getting your peak workouts in, those big bike rides, those big swims, getting in the open water, taking advantage of the open water swim clinics especially. And I should mention as well, for those that do or are getting ready for Rockford, that wants to get in an open water swim, even though it's colder, If you want to meet up with people and get ready, we're going to do a couple actual practice swims to get ready for Rockford over the next couple of weeks. Date and time TBD. It'll be based on the weather. Either a weekend afternoon, possibly a Friday morning or Friday afternoon. So sometime where hopefully more people can come out and do a full simulation swim. You know, get used to having a wetsuit on. I know the water temperature right now in Rockford, I think I saw it
was at 60 degrees. So
it's 60s, I think.
okay.
So hopefully it'll be wetsuit legal if we don't get a big heat wave.
I mean, I just want to be able to wear my boys' shorts. That's all I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I think people will be very happy if wetsuits are allowed.
Yes.
It could warm up though, so I would encourage people to try to get up to the distance without needing a wetsuit before a race. Though that's really the main goal.
And Joy, you're going to be joining us in Rockford. Are you not for spectating, or where are you?
I will not be joining because I have to teach classes.
Ah, all right.
Please.
Well,
But I will be following and tracking you guys in between clients.
so this is a good, nice little segue here. So for those that might have an athlete that will be performing in Rockford during the events, where can they find them?
Well, you can download the Ironman app, the tracking app, on iOS or Android and type in their last name, and you can actually track them on the swim. Their transition time. So their transition time is like 20 minutes. You can talk to them and clown them on it. Track them on the bike and track them on the run. So that's the best way, easiest way. If you're not going to be there live, trying to run down your athletes, track them on the app.
I tell you what, if we ever get to a point where we have to do ad mentions for this channel, we know who we're calling to make sure that happens. So
We have to call our friends at Ironman. Get a little banner across the bottom here with the sponsor logo.
So again, track your athlete either via the app on iOS or Android. Please update your phone before you update the app, get the app on. Or you can do a road trip to Rockford. It's not that far. Same distance between Chicago and Rockford, Madison and Rockford. Track your friends. And you might be asked to volunteer, or you might get inspired to do that race next year.
there you go. Amazing advice. Thank you very much,
You're
Joy.
welcome.
And you will be hopefully tracking the two of us
Yes.
and the slew of other athletes and coaches that we all have here right now.
Yeah, and
About 60 people I know who I'm
a
tracking.
good tip too, if people are tracking friends or communities on the app, one of my favorite things to do, you can actually search by club.
Yeah.
So if you know someone is part of a certain community, you can just type in that tri club name. Like we have people here right now from Dare to Try, Chicago Tri Club,
Try dot.
You know, we can just type in that name and it'll give you the list of everybody from that club. And if they're not on that list, they might need to go and update their Ironman account. So this is also a
They're making game points for their club for the Tri Club points and championships. Yeah.
And the Tri Club program for Ironman is just a free program. You can affiliate with whatever Tri Club or community you're part of, and then you get a lot of perks. They do some special programs like discounts and things like that, but you also get early registration for events. You can also get bike racked together in transition, if you go and check in together. So if you're checking in at the same time with your community, try to coordinate the schedules, go in together, and you can actually get your rack positions set up next to each other.
Which is really nice.
So yeah, take advantage of the Tri Club perks for sure. And if you're a spectator, just type in the Tri Club name and you can find.
Excellent. All right. So before we sign off for today, we're going to see if we can't talk some of our athletes and coaches who are joining us today, who were crazy people like these two and went out in open water at 50-degree temperatures in the water to see if they can tell us a little bit more about not only their experience with open water, any hot tips that they may be able to give our athletes out there, but also maybe even ask them about their current race rehearsal tips that they may have going into any of the races for the Chicagoland series or for TriDot.
Curious to get any thoughts or tips, like what happened in today's swim, and was it anything that reminded you to change or prepare differently at all?
Oh goodness! So I've been doing this first Memorial Day swim almost every year for the past 10 years. But this year, for the first time, I actually tried some gloves and booties, because, it's one thing when you're getting right out of the water and coming here for food and drinks. It's another thing if you're going to go get on a bike and then go running. So I tried those out for the first time. It turns out, surprise, surprise, they work. I felt very comfortable in the water. And yeah, I think I'm going to use them in the race, and hopefully they'll keep my hands from falling off.
Adam, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think the temperature is really the biggest concern for Alcatraz, and same for me. I mean, I've always swam in a sleeveless wetsuit, so this is my first time in a full sleeve one. Hard to get on, hard to get off, so it's good to be prepared for that. But I had swim booties on my feet. Like walking into the water, like I felt impervious to the cold.
It's amazing how that works, right?
I think it really, yeah.
Right?
Not until really my face hit the water did I realize like how cold that water was. So yeah, I feel very prepared for that part.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure when you guys go to Alcatraz, you won't have the luxury of just being able to waddle into the water. It's going to be a hard hit right in there once you jump in.
Yeah, you jump off of a boat into the water and go. Yeah.
And it also looks like today with that little bit of wind, a little bit of chop, there's going to probably be a little bit of that in Alcatraz as well. And I'm pretty sure we also don't have buoys on Alcatraz. So you basically have to do your own spotting and figure out what exit that's going to be on the beach. So how are you guys feeling about that experience?
Yeah, I was reminded that there's a video that they have out there for like where you sight at different stages, of the race, kind of thing. But I think it's probably different every year because the current, is different. So I don't know. Do you have any?
I've never done it. I started asking you.
Amanda, do you?
I have no clue.
Yeah, that's one of the scariest things. I'm a little bit worried about my goggles fogging up. I'm a little bit worried about my goggles falling off when I jump in. So these are the things that keep me awake at night. But I've done hard things before. I'll probably figure it out.
Well, good luck to you guys at Alcatraz, and I feel like the hardest part was like already today, like getting out in cold ass Lake Michigan. So good luck in Alcatraz. Joy, any parting words and advice?
Have fun. Remember to smile at every given point on the course. And one tip that a friend of mine gave, who's done Alcatraz and also the Escape the Cape and Escape Miami Marathon swims where they had to jump off a boat, they actually had another pair of goggles on their neck. So just in case, even if you're wearing a double swim cap with the goggles underneath, over one of the swim caps and underneath the top one, or they would hold on to their goggles once they jump in. So just in case your goggles pop off, you have another pair of goggles around your neck. So there you go.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Cool.
Excellent. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for being here.
So how was your open water swim this morning?
Today I'm actually battling some stomach issues, so I definitely feel for folks that have that in the cold water and the chop. So normally I go and do like 2 laps today, but I did about half. But it was really fun seeing a bunch of people. So a couple of folks have been first time ever in a wetsuit, first open water swims ever. And then definitely almost the worst conditions anybody's ever seen this year. So it was definitely a good time for everybody.
So at this point, it couldn't get any worse. Is that what we're saying?
Oh, it could always get worse. Could always get worse. That's why we have to prepare for the worst, and that's what training's for. It gives us ready for the worst possible things, and just coming up with a plan when we see something like this.
Speaking of coming up with a plan, first off, welcome back to the pod, Tony, who is with us almost a year ago to announce the launch of Rockford 70.3. So as a coach with TriDot, one of the things that Coach Chris mentioned earlier was about our race rehearsals, things that are going to be coming up between now and the next 3 to 4 weeks, preparing for Rockford 70.3. For any athletes that are out there that may not be familiar with TriDot or familiar with this concept in their training, can you tell us a little bit about like what rehearsal training is, like a rehearsal floor on the weekend, and how to prepare for that, and what are you trying to hope to accomplish during a race rehearsal workout?
excellent question. Coach Julie and I did our race rehearsals yesterday, actually Saturday, for getting ready for Rockford. So what I tell people all the time is do everything you would for race day. So I put on for the first time, my 2025 race kit. I bought my new, for me, Christmas present helmet. Set up my new setup. I changed the way an arm bottle is between my arms on the bike, and some new tires also. So it's a perfect way to get those things dialed in for race day. Looked up my race pace for the morning. So, hey, I should maintain 215 watts, and went out there and averaged 213. So it was really, really close. I'm slightly more aerodynamic than RaceX thinks. So I did a little faster than I thought. But it was fantastic. And I came off the bike ready to go and did, I think it was 5 minutes in zone 3 after that. And the rest of the 45 minutes or 40 minutes in zone 2. And that felt awesome. And it just gives you so much confidence getting ready for race day. And the other part is we have 2 of them. So we have one 4 weeks out and one 2 weeks out. So today didn't go as planned, or Saturday didn't go as planned. And Coach Julie had a little issue. So we know we have a second chance on this. Like, oh, hey, if you have a rub spot on your new kit, you need to put some extra body glide on there. Or, hey, that helmet is super heavy. Let me practice with my sighting. Something you would wear a helmet on your trainer. So you're holding up your head for the first time for 3 hours on your bike. That's something to get used to also. So it's fantastic. Gives you super amount of confidence to, hey, at race base, how am I going to feel off bike? Should feel like a rocket. It's very good. And you're going to be coming out on pace for for your run pace and feel warmed up and ready to go. And it's just very, very good. It's a big contrast to what Coach Julie had. So she knows she's looking forward to her race rehearsal version 2 here in about 2 weeks. Get some great training between. Is that? Any questions for Chris, Joy?
No, you're both doing Rockford.
Both doing Rockford. Coming home 2 weeks ago, we did a little mini camp up in Madison. But we were able to drive the course Rockford coming home, and got to see some of the roads people were talking about. And it was tire pressure deficits are a little rough. But no big hills. The wind will probably be a bigger factor than the hills were. And it was looking forward to it. It's really good.
What's next on the calendar for you after Rockford?
Right now, nothing. But I've received several texts from 2 different athletes who want me to do their fulls with them later this season.
Okay.
Either in Italy or in Florida. So we'll see. Italy looks fun. Florida looks really fun too. And so we'll see. I haven't done it. I skipped last year supporting Coach Julie for Winnie's race. So I skipped a full last year. So I'm over it.
All
right. Outstanding.
Coach Tony, thank you so much for being on the pod again. And we look forward to having so much fun with you in Rockford in about 3 weeks.
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be a party, you guys.
It's a party.
Yeah, and we'll be out there. Joy's going to be watching us. Stalking. So we have participants, we have stalkers, we have we have our audience. So one way or the other, we're all going to have a great experience in Rockford or near Rockford. Thanks, Tony. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cheers.
All right. Anyone else?
Any more podcasters?
I think that's a wrap.
I think that's a wrap for us.
All right, guys. Well, I think, luckily, Tony had his own soundtrack for his coaching advice today. So thank you for that. But I think we're going to be ready to wrap it up here, you guys. Any last parting thoughts?
No, I think that's it. I don't know when we're doing our next big video, but it might be after Rockford.
Could be after Rockford, yeah.
So we're going to have, I think, a lot of video footage. Maybe we'll have to do another one from here so that we can have celebratory beverages.
I'm down with that.
To celebrate completing the first ever Ironman event in Illinois.
I have been no disagreement with that. So let's chalk it up on the calendar, and I look forward to having great recaps for both Leon's, Pleasant Prairie, Rockford. We'll have a lot to talk about, so we'll need to block up a lot of
Chicago 13.1.
and Chicago 13.1. So we're gonna have lots of celebratory time to spend here at Cafe Oliva for our next follow-up race rehearsal. Race recap. And then from there, it's the rest of the summer, and hopefully everybody's having wonderful races, wonderful training, and good luck to everybody between now and then. So guys, thank y'all so much. Happy Memorial Day.
Happy Memorial Day to
And
you.
I'm sure y'all are looking forward to your next hot shower.
Yes.
All right, we'll see you guys.
All right,
Have
right.
a great one.